Today I played round 5 of Reykjavik Open, and this is one of my most awaited games because I played against the one and only international master Eric Rosen. Now many of you probably watch Eric Rosen. He is an OG chess content creator. He's had a YouTube channel for a very long time. He streams, and he's been doing recaps every day of this tournament as well. So I was really excited to play Eric. In fact, yesterday we were sitting next to each other, and I literally told him, Eric, it's so sad that we're never gonna play each other. I mean, maybe next year we'll play each other. And he said, yes, Anna, it's so sad. And then boom, we jinxed it. And the day after, the pairings were out. In fact, I even messaged Eric and said, Eric, we're playing today. And he said, Anna, haha, funny joke, it's April's Fool. And I said, no, Eric, it's not April's Fool, it's the truth. The chess organizers are not trolling us. And so we played today. So I was really excited about this game. And I wanted to prove to him that, I'm strong, that I can play a good game against him. So d4, knight f6, bishop g5. This, everybody, was a surprise. I wanted to surprise Eric because I knew that he had done a lot of preparation against me. He knew about all my online games and everything, obviously, because he's an online person himself. So I really did not want him to come in here with a lot of preparation. So I played the Trompowsky, which I didn't know was pronounced Trompowsky until Levy started saying it. I thought it was Trompovsky, but whatever. So I played the Trompowsky, which is an opening that I never, ever play. And this is the move. So d4, knight f6, bishop g5. This is the Trompowsky. And the reason I played it was because I was sure that Eric was not going to expect it. And he told me after the game, he said, Anna, you surprised me. I've only played this once in the past, and I beat a 2250 in a classical game playing this. So I said, you know what? I've had good results. I studied it a little bit last night, and I was hoping that Eric was going to get into some of the lines that I studied. So he went d5, I went e3, and now he went for this move c6, which I was not expecting. I was hoping that he would play c5, which is the main line, which becomes a little bit more tactical. This is a little bit more of slower play, and you guys know that I don't like slow play. I mean, I'm a tactical woman. I like tactics. I don't like positional play, which is like one of my weaknesses. I need to learn to like positional play. But anyway, so I captured this. One of the key things to do in the Trompowsky, you destroy Black's pawn structure, but at the same time you give away your bishop pair. So that is the bad thing about it. And now I went c4, and this is so far totally fine. He captured because he doesn't want to get an isolated pawn over here. If I have the chance to capture, his pawn on d5 is going to become very weak. So takes, and now bishop d6. Now I developed my knight, and then castles, and then I went queen c2 because if knight f3, I didn't want him to pin me. And now he went for f5, and so far all of this has been very natural. And even now, I went knight f3, this is natural, knight d7, saying, oh no, my pawn. If you watch his channel, you know what I mean, but he typically says that when he's blundering something. This is not a blunder. If I capture his pawn, then he's gonna have this move, knight e5, which is really pretty, threatening my queen, but also threatening to capture this bishop, and I have no way of defending the bishop, so I cannot capture. So now I went for a plan. And this was the plan that my whole game was characterized by. As I told you, I wanted to play a tactical game today. That's actually why I studied Trompowsky. I wanted to play tactically against Eric because I feel like the one way where you can beat stronger players is by playing tactically. Because I feel like I'm relatively good at tactics, but I lack positional understanding in chess, and I'm also not great at endgames. So I didn't want to get into a slow game. So I found this idea, and I have never seen this position before, but I found this idea, which I was really proud about. I mean, I was sitting there smiling at myself. I thought it was a great plan. And that idea is to go bishop d3, threatening this pawn. Now I'm actually threatening to capture the pawn. He goes g6. It's the only move to defend it. And now I wanted to go for the move h4. This is very thematic when you're playing against this structure in front of the king. You just want to push h4, h5, and just, open up everything. And I was hoping that Eric would go knight f6 and that I would be able to push and, that I'd be able to sacrifice some stuff. But no, that did not happen. So he went h5 and just basically stopped all my plans with pushing, which is kind of sad. And in this position, I did something that I think is a mistake that many of us do. And that is that when our plan doesn't work, we try to make it work anyways. I came in here saying, I'm gonna attack Eric on the chessboard. And I was not gonna leave until I did that. So in this position, if I would go short castles and I would simply play a positional game, going short castles, rook c1, a3, b4, create a minority attack on the queen side, which is what it's called when two pawns attack three, try to create some weaknesses, you know, ask Eric, what is your plan? Have him decide what to do. You know, this could have been a perfectly sound chess game, but that did not go that way. So I went long castles here, which the engine doesn't like, but I thought it was good. I hate it when I think that something is good and the engine doesn't agree with me, you know? But anyways, knight f6. He started bringing up the knight, and this is a great move because, well, he's bringing the knight to defend the king, but actually I had a lot of ideas about going g4 and trying to open up, but all of these moves are just too slow. I need to get somehow my knight up to g5, and then I need to go f3, and then I need to go g4. This is basically the only plan I have to attack. So I realized that all of this was going to take a lot of time, and so I figured that the best way of trying to break through this chain of pawns was to go e4. But the issue of going e4 is that whenever you kind of open up the position, well, then the color that has the bishop pair is going to be at an advantage. And now Eric has the bishop pair, not me. So bishops thrive in open environments. And so these bishops are just going to have a great time here. Whereas, yeah, I'm basically just making life easier for them. So in that perspective, this is just not such a good move. But anyway, so takes and then knight takes, and now you want queen f6, which is just a fantastic move. The idea of this is that one, he's taking control of all of these dark squares, but he's also preventing me from sacrificing on g6. If he wasn't careful, I was threatening now bishop takes g6. So in this position, I'm actually just worse simply due to the fact that his bishops are good. I have an isolated pawn, aka a pawn that's not defended by any other pawn, and also because I've long castled and my king is kind of weak here. But I still wanted to attack. I mean, guys, that's everything that I'd been thinking about. So I went here king b1, which I think is fine. My king needs to get there at some point, and I wanted to stop bishop f4 check. And now I went rook e8 with the little tricky idea of going rook takes bishop, and then after queen takes rook, bishop f5. Look at this, pinning basically my queen and my king. And this position was actually a critical point in the game. I had throughout all of these moves thought a lot, like quite a lot. Like I was really low on time. I mean, at one point Eric even had an hour more than me on the clock. Okay, this actually sounds embarrassing. Like I need to play faster this game today. But Eric had so much more time than me. And so here I was like, there's not many moves I can do. I need to defend this. I'm just gonna move the bishop back to d3. Now this was a turning point in the game. I actually had the opportunity here of going knight g5, and this would have been a fantastic move because one, it would have defended the bishop, but two, it would have prevented bishop g4, which was actually a move that came with a lot of force. So knight g5 was crucial. I really needed to go knight g5. And here there are some crazy ideas. He wanted to go bishop f4, and then I would have gone f3 with the idea of sacrificing a pawn by going for g4 and opening up for this rook. And positions like this would have become completely insane. So this is what I had to go for in that position. My mom was literally screaming at the microphone on the live stream. She was like, Anna, go knight g5, go knight g5. And I don't wish I could hear her because then I would be cheating, but like, you know, I wish that I could like understand like what she's saying. But yeah, obviously I can't. So yeah, I didn't go knight g5. But anyways, so I retreated and went bishop d3, and now I went for this move bishop g4, which is just so good because he's simply threatening to capture on f3. And if he captures on f3, we can see that my pawn structure becomes absolutely atrocious. New word. So yeah, I didn't want to allow him to take. But probably what I should have done is something like rook dg1, and then after takes and takes, just accepted the fate of my pawns. They look disgusting, they look terrible, they're so weak, they have no one protecting them, but at least maybe this file is open and I can put a little bit of pressure on this pawn. But after king g7, this is a really bad position. But I decided to have a little bit more fun, and I decided actually to sacrifice an exchange. Which I knew probably the engine wouldn't like, but I thought that maybe this would give me more practical chances. And I thought that maybe I had some compensation because his light squares become very weak, and this f7 pawn becomes very weak as well. So I went knight g5, and then he captured, rook captures, and he went bishop f4, simply threatening my knight. Now, here I really wanted to go knight e4 to try to place a knight on c5, but the issue is that he can simply capture this d4 pawn. So I had to retreat he went king g7, and now I went rook g1. And this started to become, well, what Eric calls a no return point. This is the sort of point where I was just completely desperate. I realized it was like cards unfolding, right? I realized what had happened in the game. I realized that my whole plan, all the way from the beginning, with long castles, had been the wrong plan. And those sort of breaks started unfolding, but I was still fighting. And I still wanted to trick Eric. So he went rook a d8, and actually the idea behind this was that if I go g4, he actually has this move, which is absolutely insane. Takes, and then queen takes d4, with the idea that if knight takes queen, this is going to be a checkmate. So yeah, so I think that this is absolutely amazing. But yeah, very beautiful queen sacrifice. So a3, and then he retreated bishop c7. I went a3 so that the king would have some space to leave. He went bishop c7, and now I pushed because there was nothing I could do to defend this pawn. I just saw, you know, this pawn disappearing, and I got this idea of going b5, and after takes, going bishop e4, threatening this rook, but also at the same time defending this knight. Because everything that I want right now is to open up the file for my rook. This is literally everything that I want. I wanted to go g4 just to put some pressure on this king and try to open up here. So that's why I wanted to go d5 and bishop e4. But here, he had this move which I hadn't seen, queen f4, which is a great move, which at first glance looks like he's winning a piece. Because, well, he's threatening this bishop, and if I move my bishop, then this knight is hanging. He's not really winning a piece, but because I have this move queen c3 check, and then I can retreat the bishop, but he still gets a really good position. But here, after takes and takes, I think some of the players are starting to arrive. I need to speed this up. After takes and takes, he's able to exchange queens, but actually in this position, something insane happened, and that is that Eric picked up his rook and he put it all the way over here. And when he did that, I was like, Eric, there's knight f3, f4. Like, I didn't say it, but in my heart, I was like, oh, am I gonna get the rook? Am I gonna get Eric's rook? Like, I got so happy. So he put it there, and then he realized that the second the rook was there, and he was still holding on to a piece, so he moved the rook all the way back. He left it at d6, and he told me, wait. And so he started thinking, and he ended up going rook d7, but I was one move away from getting his rook, which made me so happy. So rook d7, I went bishop b3. I had to somehow put some pressure on this f7 pawn. He went king g7, and in this position, I was so close on going rook f4. I was so tired. I was so close on going rook f4, but I realized that, you know, the bishop would take the rook. So I went instead rook g2, and I simply had the idea of pushing h5. I was still trying to trick him. When knight h3 here, the bishop went back, and now went rook f2. And the idea of this was simply that I wanted to stop this rook from coming to d2, because then I have rook takes pawn. So he went f6, I went h5, I needed to somehow open up the position. And here, I only had maybe like 30 seconds on the clock, but I went rook g2. And this is actually quite nice. The idea of this is that if he either picks up like the knight or the bishop, I'm going to get some practical chances. If he picks up the knight, there's rook takes, king has to go to h7, and I have this move bishop c2. And this actually becomes really interesting because the king cannot move because this is hanging, but my bishop becomes really strong. And here, if you would pick up the bishop, because if takes, there's this check, well, then actually I can go king, no, this is not the way I do it. If takes, I would go rook takes pawn. I was just remembering. Rook takes pawn, king h7, and then boom, now I take the rook. And what happens then? That actually after he goes for check and he picks up my piece, I can take his pawn. And this is not so clear anymore because if I am somehow able to get this b7 pawn, this might become a draw because these pawns will become very weak. And if I'm able to get rid of these pawns, well, then I'm not losing anymore. So all of this was really interesting, but you know, Eric did a very international master move, which is that he went g5, and he just said, Anna, you know, no tricks for you this time. So I went knight f4, threatening his rook. He cannot take it because of the pin. He went rook d6 and knight g6, and I was somehow trying to gain some control of the light squares, but I was very low on time, and here he just sacrificed his exchange because he was going to be in an endgame 3 pawns up. So the game continued like this. I tried to do, you know, some sort of moves. I ended up getting a pawn, but even here in this position, when I get a pawn, I went for the final trick, which was, hoping somehow that, you know, he would. I mean, I wasn't hoping for it. I was more accepting that I was going to lose. But, you know, he just brought the king up, check, and there was nothing more to do. And here I resigned. I was feeling kind of sad after the game because I felt like I had played really bad. I think that the game was not amazing, but it was mostly the fact that I had the wrong plan from the start. I went with this, you know, attacking Anna, long castling, h4, g4, going crazy sort of ideas. And if you're trying to attack an international master and you're trying to checkmate him, you gotta play like a grandmaster. I realized that probably the better way would have been to just have him to try to beat me and then just try to do a comeback, you know? Instead of me trying to put myself like above and trying to all the time attack him. So this was my game against Erik Rosen. In 17 minutes, I am playing against a 1600. I think it's from Finland. And I'm really excited. I have the black pieces. We'll see how it goes. I'll be making a recap for you about that game. It'll probably be posted tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching this video, and don't forget to check out Erik's channel as well. All right, wish me good luck for round number 7. Is it 7? 6. Round number 6. By the way, I'm on 2 out of 5 points right now, and we're gonna try to get 3 out of 6. Wish me luck for round number 6, everybody. Bye-bye.